We're here live at TEDx BeaconStreet, and I'm sitting down with Thomas Ermacroa, open source urbanist and tech futurist. Thomas, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Tell us, you just got off the stage. What was the title of your talk, and what was it about?
Called Open Source Urbanism and How to Recode Your City. And I think we've just arrived at the point where citizens can take ownership of what's missing in their city and shape it.
And so, what do you mean by this? Now, we're talking about open source. Are we talking open source in the digital sense, or what exactly?
So it's more in terms of the design philosophy or how you approach it. So open source software allowed companies and people to sort of iterate onto the code and beta live, and it sort of spawned a whole new approach to how to develop intellectual property. And then open source hardware kind of did the same, but for things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think cities and places and overall sort of living environment, I think, are going to be open source so that communities can iterate, a bit like in a wiki. So it's not necessarily for the digital aspect that I'm talking about. It will accelerate it. Definitely the internet will make it faster. But it's more in terms of the ethos, that citizens can participate. And this will be, it won't just be that they can participate, it's that they will do so in a way that is a little bit seamless, and it'll feel natural, a bit like a new behavior.
Yeah, exactly. So the open source is kind of taking that. The name there is more because we're familiar with that as far as software and hardware go. You're sort of taking that and using it now in the urban environment. Can you give me an example? Have we seen this? Has there been some case studies, or what does it look like exactly?
So it's interpretive. So obviously we haven't really arrived at open sourcing the city yet. But there are examples, and particularly when it comes to what I call the commons, or what people like to refer as the commons, which are places that are non-transactional. It's a place between the public and the private, very often, that allows for people to express themselves. Parks are an example, but they're not the only ones. And there's been a lot of cases of, you could call it guerrilla interventions, where citizens come together and they transform their abandoned space together. And that's been happening for a few years. But this has also started a conversation where the town hall or the public authority accept this as an actual mode of operation. So it's not just that it's happening, is that it's being allowed, but being guerrilla. And so that's really quite interesting.
Yeah, there's a place here just close by in Cambridge, Massachusetts, that I walk by every day, and there's a wall that is constantly graffitied, but in a great way. It's encouraged. Every time you walk by, there's someone new there with their spray paint doing some new sort of design. Is that sort of along the lines of what we're talking about?
Absolutely, and but that's call it the small stuff. What's really spectacular is how fast this is moving, and I really think that we're going to see entire buildings, entire neighborhoods being shaped by this. So every part that's not being touched officially, or everything that's not really being addressed, like if you design something, you can't plan for everything, particularly when you do a master plan in a neighborhood. So this is a way to respond to what's missing. And also when you're in an informal community, like let's say in a township or in a favela or in a slum, this might be a way to get out of trouble or improve, quality of life. And in my book, The Recoded City, which was released last January, there's 43 cases of this type of work all around the world. So I've been one of those who have been working with this type of urbanism for some years, but we're a whole group of people, and it's really becoming a global movement.
That's great. Well, Thomas, thanks so much for sitting down with me. And if you want to see his whole talk, you can check it out at TEDxBeaconStreet.com.